Hi, everybody. Sherry here. And I want to talk to you about something interesting that happened to me last week. And the reason I want to talk to you about it is because it's something that's going to happen in your life every now and then, and you've just got to learn how to manage it. So, last week I was offered an opportunity to diversify my writing. I was really excited about this, just really gung ho about it. Of course, this was something I had actually pursued. It was an opportunity that I had seen on the horizon around the beginning of the year, around January, February, and I just decided that I wanted to pursue it. And it worked out. It actually worked out last week. I got an offer and I was really excited. And I was talking to my husband, and he was also quite excited. He knew that this was something I had been pursuing, of course. Any chance to expand Broken Reality, reach out a little bit more, contribute, use my writing skills a bit more in the world. Of course, I'm going to get really excited. Creative stuff is just my thing. And I was so excited to be able to, have another opportunity to do that in a new and different way. And then I shared it with my inner circle, of course, as you usually do. I decided I wasn't going to go all public about it because it's not the kind of thing that you would like throw across social media that everybody be like, woo, what a big thing. It's just kind of adding on to what I'm already doing. And the reactions were not what I expected. So I thought that everybody knowing that I'm a writer at heart would be excited on me taking on this new venture and, kind of experimenting with new ways to work my creative writing in the world. They weren't. As a matter of fact, the responses were interesting because it seemed like almost unilaterally the women thought I was making a mistake. Why do you want to do that? You're just putting more on yourself. Aren't you going to stress yourself out? Why don't you wait until you retire and start doing all this stuff? Why are you doing it now? Don't you have enough? Why on earth? Why? I wouldn't do that if I were you. Well, it's a good thing you're not doing it. It's me. It's me doing it. And the funny thing was, the men actually thought it was a good idea. They were like, yeah, that's wise. Planning, diversifying is a great idea. Think you ought to go for it. It actually turns out that one that I talked to is already doing it himself. And he was like, oh, yeah, you finally figured that one out. Yeah, good job. Yeah, go for it. So it was, I think one interesting thing about this was the difference in opinions. And while I didn't share the specifics with a large group of people because there are non-disclosure agreements and play with this, I can't really talk a whole lot about it because of confidentiality issues, but just giving them the basic details, it was funny that for one thing, the men thought it was a good idea, wise planning. The women thought I was stretching myself a bit too thin. So, lesson number one, obviously, my work ethic has been shaped and influenced more by the men in my life. Okay, so that's just an interesting little sidebar. But one thing I want to talk to you in today's video is that, and the birds are already piping up. They've heard me talking about this with Rick and just with them. People aren't always going to agree with you. And sometimes what's right for you and what's right for your life, it's not going to look the same to other people because they're not living it. They're not coming from the same place you're coming from. They don't have the same vision. They don't have the same goals. It's just reality is perception, and they aren't perceiving it the same way that you are, which means that sometimes the people closest to you, they might not be on board with what you're doing. Well, you know what? When it comes to God's will for your life, sometimes you might not understand it. You might get a prompting to do something, and you don't understand why you're so drawn to this or why you want to do this. If you do understand, that's actually kind of a bonus. And in this situation, yes, I saw this opportunity on the horizon and I prayed about it and felt the prompting to just go ahead and pursue it and follow the path. And here we are now, and it worked out. That was great. And I'm going to tell you, at first, I was a little bit surprised. It was not something that I knew about. It was not something that I thought about. But I thought, well, you know, why not? It seems interesting. I'm drawn to it. And I prayed and I acted on it. And now it's worked out. And, you know, it's kind of a bonus that I get it. And I see it as a way to diversify my writing and just contribute more and do more of it in different ways. And I'm really excited about this. It hurts. It hurts that some of the people who are closest to me don't get it and aren't really on board with it. But you know what? One of them themselves actually said, other people aren't always going to agree with you, and you have to get comfortable with just moving forward without needing that external approval. I think that's what I want to tell you today, is she's absolutely right. And she hit on something there that I really want to convey to you today, is they aren't. People aren't always going to understand your path. It's unique to each one of us. Our life experiences are unique. Our perspectives are unique. And frankly, our goals and our abilities are unique. You know, a lot of the objections that I heard from people were, how are you going to do that? How are you going to manage one more thing in your life? Well, I'm kind of the concept that, and you've heard it, the how's not my business or my problem. A way will be made. If this is for me, a way will be made. And you know, I just intend to go about it and take advantage of this opportunity and do what I call my task toggling, where I'm not always doing all things at all times. I'm not always writing a book. In fact, I just released one. So right now, as far as my creative writing is concerned, it's actually a bit more marketing here and there, and a lot of that's already, I've got it. It's just how to distribute it and coming up with that plan. So that's not really as intensive now. The only thing I can think of that might suffer is my reading. Oh well, that's a hobby, you know. And I am a voracious reader, so honestly, you know, I'm not really worried about how I'll toggle it with the rest of my life somehow, and a way will be made. I learned a long time ago not to worry about the how. That's how you give yourself anxiety, honestly. And that's how you stop yourself from taking advantage of these opportunities, is worrying too much about the how. So I just kind of trust that a way will be made and a way will unfold. And if it's meant to work out, it'll work out. And if it doesn't, okay, well, that didn't work, on to the next. Let's see what else is out there. Everybody doesn't have that attitude. You know, there's still, you know, people just, they might not be able to relax. They might need to have that whole path laid out in front of them. And that's something I had to let go of. Really, it kind of held me back for a long time, because you're not going to have the whole path laid out in front of you. You've just got to eventually step out. But I tell you, playing it safe, you know, and that's what these people who aren't excited about this just want me to play it safe. Well, yeah, wow. Look at where that's gotten you. Playing it safe gets you mediocrity. And I've talked about this in previous videos. No, that's not going to work. That's not how I was built. That's not what I was made for. Sorry, I will not quietly sit in my predictable box. And if the fact that I'm smacking at the walls and you're starting to see cracks and you're afraid that's a load-bearing wall makes you nervous, well, it's like a dear friend of mine told me years and years ago at church, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one. God bless her soul. Oh, but I tell you, she was right. She was right. What it boils down to is everybody has opinions. And also, what's right for you might not be right for other people. You might not even understand everything you're called to do and that's laid in front of you. You just have to walk forward in faith. And what it really boils down to is, if you're in a situation like this where you just really feel drawn to something, to a path, and you're moving forward, and other people just don't really agree with you, don't approve of it, you know, you just quietly press on. There is no grand strategy, step-by-step thing. This happens to you, you've just got to quietly press on. Okay, zip the lip. We're going to zippity-doo-dah it and just keep on keeping on. You don't have to talk about it to them anymore. You don't have to bring it up. Just quietly press on and do what you know is right. It really all boils down to one thing. It's about grace. It's just about having grace with yourself to not need that external validation to do what you know is right. And really, it's an opportunity for others to learn that grace towards you and to accept that maybe they don't know everything about you and they don't have to. Just quietly accept it. You might not agree, but accept it. And it's a good lesson for me where other people are concerned too. It's a good reminder to me. I might not agree with decisions that you make or what you want. Again, zippity doo dah. You know what? If you know what's right, my job is just to support you and pray for you and hope for the best. And honestly, I'd be glad to be wrong in those circumstances. I really would. And it's an opportunity to learn and to grow. We don't know it all. We're all just walking in faith. So with that, I want to tell you, if people's opinions are kind of dragging you down and you were hoping that they'd stand behind you and they won't, just these things happen. It happens. And as that friend told me last week, sometimes you just have to accept that people aren't always going to agree with you, and you've got to have the strength and the confidence and the grace to just move forward and do what you know is right and just let it unfold and do the best that you can. You know what? It's how we learn. Sometimes you've just got to take chances and you've got to step out, and people aren't always going to get that. It's okay. They don't have to. They just have to have the grace to accept you and your decisions, just like you have to have the grace to accept them and their decisions. So with that, I say I hope you have a great day. You all take care. Keep walking forward in faith and stand tall, stand strong, and enjoy your spring. I will see you next time. Bye.